Hey guys, what's up? Pixel saying in today's video we're doing a new tier list for the survivors on Evil Dead the game. I haven't done one since the beta. We've had a few balance patches and stuff, so my opinion has kind of changed obviously quite a bit since the beta. So we're just going to jump straight into this. And anyways, I've had a few requests that I do a new survivor tier list, so I thought I'd better do one. But anyways, let's start. So we have Army Darkness Ash. Originally I had him in S tier, so in the last one I had him in S tier. I still think he's really good. But I feel like he's come down a lot because of his potion cooldown. So I'm gonna put him in A tier because, like I said, his potion cooldown was, I think they added 30 seconds on top of that, or 20 seconds, I can't remember, and they actually reduced the amount of time it lasts for, and they actually did a reduction on the damage reduction as well. So I've brought him down to A tier. He's still a really good survivor, but honestly, like he's really high A tier, low S tier right now. He was straight into S tier for me last time, but no, not anymore. Annie got a little bit of a buff. I haven't really tried her out too much since the buff, and I'm still gonna put her in C tier. I would say she was originally an F tier character. Nobody picked her at all, so I think that's why she received this buff. But honestly, I still don't really rate her being any higher than C tier, if I'm being honest. The next one, Evil Dead 1 Ash. If for his support, he's okay, but again, he's another one who got a nerf, and ever since his nerf, he just hasn't been above C tier, in my opinion. The other two supports are way better, so I think, you kind of have the alternate healing, of course, with doing the bare fist is actually a really good strategy with that. But for me, I'm still going to put him in C tier because I'd much rather see a Pablo and definitely a Cheryl being on the team instead. So the next one is Pablo. Pablo, I'm going to put in B tier. Pablo, I think he's kind of, well balanced. The only difference, like the difficult thing with Pablo for demons is that he can't be detected by them, which is really good. So that kind of brings him up in the survivor chain, if you'd like to call it that. The next thing is that obviously he has the amulets, which is really good. He has the colas as well. You can get really sneaky revives off, which is great too. So I kind of like having Pablo in B tier. Like I said, he's a pretty good support. Kelly for me, it's a difficult one because I play a lot of Army Darkness Ash, and I'd rather play Army Darkness Ash than Kelly, but every time I play Kelly, I just do insane amount of damage, and she has like the ridiculous amount of dodging. So I think I'm gonna put her in S tier for me, just because of the way she is right now. I know she's kind of bugged still with her range damage stacking, being stacked from her melee buff, which is pretty interesting. But like I said, I think she belongs in S tier for me, and I can wipe out just mobs with Kelly, even using melee. Her melee combat's really good as well. She has insane, obviously, amount of stamina, like with all hunters as well, which is good. But yeah, I'd rather play Army Darkness Ash than Kelly, just because of my type of play style. But when I do play Kelly, I really kick ass a lot of the time, and I can clutch so many 1v1 situations with her. So I think she belongs in S tier for me. The next one, Lord Arthur. He got a bit of a nerf. I used to have him originally in S tier, but now I'm going to pull him down to A tier as well, just because of his nerf. It's not really that good. He was definitely the best leader in the game by far. But now I think El Jefe is definitely a much better leader to choose. The next one is Ed. Ed, I used to have an F tier on my last bit. I absolutely hated Ed. I hated the crossbow mastery. But with his new buff and his getting to play a bit more Ed, I've actually kind of enjoyed playing him. So I'm even going to put him in A tier just because of his crate finding ability is absolutely insane. His crossbow mastery is actually really good, even though the crossbow is really bugged right now. You can find a legendary crossbow really easy with this guy, and then buff it up with like the last bullet being in the weapon buff. I forget what it's called at the moment. But yeah, doing that, it's really good. You can really buff up his crossbow and do a lot of damage with that. All right, so we're moving on. The next one, Amanda. Amanda is good in certain situations, but I think she's a C tier survivor for me. I sort of like playing her, but at the same time I don't really like her weapon mastery at all. I honestly think it's just completely flawed. Not only that, it's always more beneficial to pick up a blunderbuss of Amanda, which it's just you kind of got worthless skills there. So for me, I think a C tier is where she belongs right now. Evil Dead 2 Ash, I'm going to put in B tier. He's good, but he also got a ridiculous cooldown added to his ability with the recent patch, so I think he belongs in B tier. The double barrel mastery is okay. I'm not a huge fan of the double barrel actually at all, but it's all right. You know, if you can't find anything else, it's nice to have that extra balance bar damage and stuff with the mastery. On top of that, you know, I think he's just kind of like an overall decent character. You know, he's nothing amazing, like he's nothing game breaking at all. But you can do some interesting builds with him. But at the same time, I don't think he's you know, anywhere like close to A tier or S tier right now. The next one, Cheryl. Cheryl's going straight into S tier for me. Compared to the other supports, she just wipes the floor with them. Not only does she have the ability, obviously, but her amount of colas she can carry, being 8 colas, she can carry 6 amulets. It kind of puts the other two to shame. Not only that, she can actually heal with more amulets, more colas, sorry. So when she drinks a cola, she actually has a higher percentage given to the team rather than the standard percentage from the other two supports, which is great. But yeah, she's S tier. She's kind of broken right now. I think she's a bit unfair in terms of things on the survivor side, but she can be very clutch as well. So I think, you know, if some things get nerfed on the wall or like the, you know, the demon side of things, then Cheryl definitely probably deserves to get a little bit more of a nerf, if I'm being honest. Anyways, moving on. So Scotty, a lot of people put Scotty in F tier and C tier. These are people who obviously haven't had much experience playing with like a Scotty main or anything like that. And personally, I think Scotty belongs in A tier. I'd probably put him right next to Army of Darkness Ash. Yeah, we'll do that. So we're going to put him right next to Army of Darkness Ash just because I think, you know, they're sort of online. Scotty has really good high output with damage, but he's not much of a tank. Whereas Army of Darkness Ash is sort of like the overall character. He can do a bit of damage. He can be a really good tank as well. You know, and Henry is like the overall tank as well, but we'll get to Henry next. But to me, Scotty is really good. He's really good against basic possession spammers as well with the lumberjack axe. You know, he has literally the weapon mastery around the best like melee weapon in the game. So for me, he definitely belongs in A tier. His ability isn't all that great, but it is actually really helpful for cleaning out mobs. And on top of that, if you're spamming heavy attacks with this guy, it also attacks the, you know, the other the other deadites in that radius as well, which is great. So for me, I think Scotty belongs A tier right next to Army Darkness Ash. And the next one is Henry the Red. Henry the Red is just absolutely insane of a tank. It's a bit of a difficult one because I think, you know, he can be really unkillable. Yeah, I think he is the best warrior right now. I think in terms of, you know, Army Darkness Ash is kind of the overall one. Scotty's, you know, really focused on damage and stuff, whereas Henry the Red, since he kind of has a lot of base tank already, you can kind of buff up his melee damage to be even better than the other two. And you so he's gonna have the health there, and he's gonna have the damage there. Not only that, like he has a really insane ability. Of course, some of his other abilities are kind of worthless, as some people reckon. But you know, like the damage deflection one, which is pretty interesting. But I think Henry the Red is S tier, if I'm being honest. You know, when you actually have a really good Henry survivor on your team, they can be very clutch, especially for getting the revive and all that. So Henry, for me, definitely belongs there, right? Now we're moving on to the main man himself, El Jefe. And, you know, it's a bit controversial where to put him because I think, you know, he's had a really nice buff. And I would put him in S tier, but he's not like really strong or powerful or anything like that. I think he's in a really good spot right now. But I'm going to put him right here in front of Lord Arthur because, you know, being a leader Ash main, I think he's a much better pick for being a leader. He's got the insane fear resistance. Like literally, if you can get a finisher off and, you know, a jump scare goes off or a trap or something like that, like nobody in your vicinity will gain fear level like at all, pretty much. You know, once you get the fear maxed out with Pink Fuck on top of that, this guy actually, like, his fear bar does not move whatsoever. Like, it's absolutely insane, which is really good. Not only that, he does decent damage. He does great range damage as well. You know, you can just chain finishes with this guy and just constantly keep buffing up his aura, which is great as well. The next thing as well, I think, you know, having the spawning with the chainsaws can be helpful sometimes in certain situations as well. But, you know, if you have a leader Ash on your team, an Army of Darkness Ash, a Scotty, and a Cheryl, I think, you know, that, to me, that could be closest to being, like, the best like team in the game. Or, you know, if you want to throw a hunter in there as well, because not only does he get the 15% damage buff to melee, but he gives it to the range as well. Of course, Lord Arthur does that right now, but with Lord Arthur, he doesn't really have the fear resistance there, which kind of sucks compared to Ash. But on top of that, he's actually bugged right now, so he does buff up the range damage. But once that does get fixed, you know, we're talking about stuff that doesn't include a bug here, and honestly, I think he's a much better leader choice. Alright guys, this has been my new tier list for the survivors on Evil Dead the game. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, it was a much needed thing to do to kind of update it after the balance patches, and, you know, getting to fully test out everyone, spending a lot of hours playing each character, and I think this is where they belong. Like I said, it's funny enough, I don't actually have anyone in F tier because I don't really think like there's a really bad survivor in the game anymore. You know, there was some bad survivors originally, but they've received some decent buffs and things like that. Like I said, I think this is a really solid tier list. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think, where you would put certain characters as well. I'd like to see it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave me a like, hit that sub button if you are new to the channel for more Evil Dead content. I do stream this game Monday to Thursday on this channel, so you don't have to go anywhere else for that. I also have a bunch of build videos and stuff like that on my channel as well, if you want to go check those out. And I have been Pixels. You're my awesome viewers. I'll catch you guys in the next one.